I'm just saying. This getting to put all people in a box, it doesn't work like that anymore. And I'm sorry, but no, she's probably not going to be embraced over that because we are sick of it in our sports in general.
Did you see that unhinged tweet from a Paige Bueckers fan threatening Caitlin Clark supporters?
Ex-NBA player claims white America hasn't embraced Paige Bueckers like Caitlin Clark.
A fan literally wrote, "I'll break your jaw," just because someone said Clark was better at basketball. This is what happens when media outlets like The Guardian start pushing divisive narratives. The fan rivalry between Bueckers and Clark has gone from healthy competition to dangerous territory, and we need to talk about who's really fueling this fire.
How about number one to start with? She's not nearly the player that Caitlin Clark is. How about we start there?
Is it really just about basketball skills? Or is there something deeper happening with how certain media outlets are framing these two stars? Let's break it down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's crazy? A Paige Bueckers fan literally threatened to break someone's jaw just for saying Caitlin Clark is better at basketball. That's not normal fan behavior. That's what happens when media outlets pour gasoline on a rivalry that should be about celebrating two amazing talents.
Paige Bueckers' article that was written by some wokey that ended up on The Guardian is that
The Guardian published this article that completely changed the conversation. Instead of talking about how these two phenomenal athletes are revolutionizing women's basketball, they framed it as some racial divide in how fans support Clark versus Bueckers. They basically suggested there's this whole white America thing happening with which player fans gravitate toward.
Paige is also not in the same stratosphere as Caitlin Clark as a player. So now Paige Bueckers fans are going to be unhinged?
Seriously? We can't just enjoy basketball anymore without someone telling us our preferences are secretly about politics? This isn't some random blogger's hot take. The Guardian is a major international publication with millions of readers. When they push a narrative suggesting fan allegiances are driven by racial factors rather than basketball opinions, it doesn't just spark debate. It creates real hostility between fan bases.
Contrast how white Americans view the two based on stark differences in speaking out against racial injustice.
Basketball conversations turn into accusations, and suddenly, people are threatening violence over player preferences. The article brought in former NBA player Eaton Thomas, who suggested Bueckers' willingness to speak out on social issues might explain the different reception she receives compared to Clark.
Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark are recognized among the best in women's basketball. However, former NBA veteran Eaton Thomas...
Reading between the lines, it's pretty obvious what they're implying. That if you're a Clark fan, you might have some problematic reasons for that preference. This kind of framing doesn't just analyze sports. It puts fans on the defensive about their character. But let's talk about what's actually happening here. Clark and Bueckers are two incredible talents with totally different playing styles and personalities. Clark has naturally been more in the spotlight recently because she literally broke the NCAA scoring record, a massive achievement that deserved every headline it got.
I'm just saying. This getting to put all people in a box, it doesn't work like that anymore.
Meanwhile, Bueckers has unfortunately been dealing with injuries that kept her off the court, which obviously impacts visibility. Context matters. What's really making fans angry isn't anything about race. It's being told that their basketball preferences must be politically motivated.
And I'm sorry, but no, she's probably not going to be embraced over that because we are sick of it in our sports in general.
The article makes it sound like white America collectively decided to choose Clark over Bueckers, which is ridiculous. Have these writers ever actually talked to basketball fans? People choose favorites based on playing style, team loyalty, personal stories, and countless other basketball-related factors. This threatening tweet that sparked so much controversy didn't happen in a vacuum. It came after months of publications like The Guardian consistently framing fan preferences as political statements instead of simple basketball opinions.
While Black America cheered Bueckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as.
When media constantly suggests there's something problematic about supporting certain players, some fans get defensive and others get aggressive. That's how we end up with threats over player preferences. The real issue here is that fans from every background, white, black, Latino, Asian, everyone, are just exhausted by having their sports enjoyment constantly analyzed as some kind of political statement. Not everything needs to be a referendum on society. Sometimes people just want to watch incredible athletes do incredible things without being told it says something about their values or character. These media outlets are deliberately creating division where there doesn't need to be any. They're transforming what should be a healthy basketball rivalry between two generational talents into something toxic by suggesting there are sinister motivations behind fan preferences. Clark and Bueckers have both shown nothing but respect for each other. It's the media that's manufacturing conflict. The thing is, this goes way beyond just one angry tweet.
Perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Bueckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article.
This shows how quickly fan culture can turn toxic when major publications start planting the idea that liking one player over another somehow makes you complicit in something problematic. Sports should bring people together, not divide them along political or racial lines. Imagine going to a game and being worried about cheering for your favorite player because someone might think it's a political statement. That's the reality some fans are facing now.
White America are the only ones that don't want to be fed woke sports propaganda.
We're losing the joy of sports when everything becomes an ideological battlefield. Both Clark and Bueckers deserve to be celebrated for their incredible talents without being used as pawns in some manufactured culture war. So here's the deal. This whole narrative being pushed on us is straight up exhausting. Basketball fans deserve better than having their player preferences dissected like some kind of political statement. We're watching a sport we love, not taking some ideological stance.
Everybody's coming to the league and they start checking things out and went, Jesus, is it all a bunch of political propaganda? That's a melting pot of individuals that come together that overwhelmingly rejected this crap.
The WNBA is finally getting the attention it deserves. And what happens? Manufactured drama. Clark and Bueckers are two phenomenal athletes who've earned their spotlight through incredible skill and dedication. The real growth of women's basketball won't come from artificial rivalries or culture war clickbait. It'll come from appreciating the game itself. What's your take? Has sports media gone too far with the political angles? Sound off below.